If all you focused on was keeping your assignments concise, understanding who the reader is, and being able to proofread them properly, I guarantee you, your grades will absolutely skyrocket. I've written a number of memos in my 5.5 years of university, which was one of the big factors that allowed me to work in multiple clerkships, gain over 3 years of law firm experience, and now being able to work in a corporate law firm where I'm actually sitting in right now. Now let's get into the first common mistake that most law students make. Now the most common mistake that everyone makes, usually in their first or second year, is not being able to keep their assignments overly concise and putting in way too much legal jargon. When I was going into university in 2019, I'd gotten pretty decent English grades at school and I thought, oh, I can just translate that into law. But the content I was learning, especially in a subject like torts, I kept overcomplicating and overthinking how I should structure my legal memos, in the sense that I should make it as technical as possible, add in some really juicy big words to sort of spruce up my legal memos. And ultimately, I actually didn't really do that well. And the reason because of that is because I overcomplicated it way too much. My sentences were long and it honestly ruined the structure of my overall argument, just because I was just adding words for the sake of not necessarily them needing to be there. And I really just forgot about keeping it concise and just getting to the answer quickly, coherently, and as precisely as possible. So if you are currently a law student at the moment in your first year, I would highly recommend you to oversimplify your legal memos. Keep them concise, but keep them sharp. When I mean simplify, I don't mean just have it written out in a basic format. I mean keep it concise, where you get to the answer as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Before we move into the next common mistake, I do want to say that we do have an online community where I personally help like-minded individuals and law students level up with their research memos, their exams, how to prepare properly, and also how to obtain clerkship and graduate roles. So if you do want to join the Fortis Circle community, it will just be the top link in the description. Now, the second biggest mistake that law students make is not considering their audience. Now, when I mean consider your audience, that comes from you being able to read effectively and carefully who you're providing the legal advice to. When you're a law student, this is really important in the sense that they give you a scenario in a particular industry, and now working in private practice, it's a massive thing that you need to consider is who you're providing that advice to, what type of person they are. Are they a lawyer? Or are they not a lawyer and they just want a summary answer? So one of the biggest things that I started implementing in closer probably towards my third year or my fourth year at university was putting the actual answer of the research memo at the very front, because I kind of realized that, hey, if this person is a lawyer and they don't really care too much about the legal jargon and the technical legal arguments. They just want to see the answer and they just want to know what they're entitled to, what their rights are, what their legal risks are. And if you can have that at the very front, it actually really sets out your legal memo nicely. And it's something that a lot of us as graduates and junior lawyers now do, is put the answer of our memo at the front. That way, the reader, who's probably most likely a lawyer, isn't really too concerned about the technicalities of the law, and that way they can just get the answer, read it straight away, and if they're interested in knowing how the law applies, then obviously we do have, the meat, the actual body section of the memo. But obviously when you're in university, you need to be mindful of the fact that law lecturers and the unit coordinator is marking you. So be able to use ISACs or IRACs in a very clear, concise and efficient way when you're structuring your answer, because a marker is going to be a unit coordinator or a lecturer. But when you're given a scenario in your research memos, make sure you carefully consider the type of person and what sort of answer they would expect. All right, we're gonna move into the third topic that most people make mistakes on, and that is incorrectly footnoting. Now, honestly, if I can be totally honest, the reason why you probably have incorrect footnoting is probably because you're lazy. And when I say you're lazy, I mean that you're one of those guys that leave the footnoting to do in the last minute when you're under the pump, when you're stressed, when you're getting your resources together, you're getting your cases, the legislation, the right sections together, you're putting them together last minute. You're just bound to make mistakes by doing that. I would highly recommend you to just do your referencing and your case note referencing in full as you go, because trust me, you will save so much last minute stress as you go about putting together those footnotes. And one of the things that you should also consider when it comes to your footnoting is the relevant brackets or relevant italics when you're referencing legislation or you're referencing a case name. Make sure you take into account the proper italics. Make sure you always put a full stop in each of the footnotes. Don't forget about full stops. I know that unit coordinators, lecturers in law, they're very pedantic about that. Be mindful of those full stops. Make sure you don't miss them out. And also the types of brackets. So if you're referencing a legal report, make sure you do use the rounded brackets. If you're specifically referencing an actual case, use the square brackets. So that's another thing to keep in mind of when you are doing footnotes. The last and final step is proofreading. Again, this is probably linking to the third common mistake, but proofreading is so important, and I guarantee that most average law students do not proofread properly. You might spend maybe a minute, 2 minutes reading out through your memo before you send it through or submit it. Even as lawyers and junior grads, we probably only just do like a little scan. Please do not do that. Please save probably half an hour, 45 minutes to actually properly proofread. And when I mean properly proofread, I genuinely mean print it out, have a red pen in hand, and actually read out aloud what you're actually reading. I personally found this strategy to be so effective, and it actually allowed me to pick up so many mistakes that I probably wouldn't be able to pick up by just reading off a computer screen. So in terms of your footnoting, that is exactly how I would recommend proofreading your legal memos. If you can do all 4 of those things, I guarantee you will take your memos from a pass to a credit, from a credit to a distinction, and a distinction to a high distinction. It's only the little things that actually make the bigger difference if you're following the IRAC structure and obviously you understand how to apply the law. Now, if you are interested in a full breakdown of different types of research memorandums, internal memorandums, memorandums that go out to a client, we provide all that within the Fortis Circle, which again, like I said, is a community. If you are someone that wants to level up as a law student or a law graduate, you're interested in self-development, we have a tight-knit community of absolute killers that want to succeed in the legal space. So if you want to access those memos with a full breakdown and explanation of why certain aspects are put into those memos, you can go in and check out the Fortis Circle, link in the top description. I'll see you in the next video.